Hey gang, I'm Luke and welcome to Down from the Attic. All this week I'm looking at my Ghostbusters board games. Today we're looking at something a little different. This is Ghostbusters, a frightfully cheerful role-playing game from West End Games. Let's check this thing out. First off, box art, and this is just the logo. It's iconic, it's simple, and it doesn't warrant lingering on. So, on to contents. You have character cards, a stack of equipment cards, 5 regular dice, this special Ghostbusters dice, how to play, training manual, operations manual, common ghost terminology, damage release, EPA release form, franchise certificate, maps for the scenarios, and a last will and testament. There's a real sense of building the scenario just from the components alone. The damages form, will and franchise certificate all lend to the idea that you're going into the Ghostbusters industry and you're in this for the long haul. And with this being a role-playing game, you're absolutely in for a game that will last you a good long while. The game boasts loudly that this game can be set up in around 10 minutes, which is quite the claim, but this is a simplified version of Dungeons & Dragons and other role-playing games. In fact, it was one of the first. And I know that Dungeons & Dragons aficionados recognise this game for its innovation at the time and rules and gameplay that are still being used to this very day. I will clearly show my ignorance here because, well, I'm not much of a role-playing gamer, but I can respect a game's importance and heritage. The how to play instructions does a really fantastic job of conveying the mechanics of the game to the players, the idea of using characters and traits, and the fact that there's a Ghostmaster. This is this game's Dungeon Master, and to help even further, they have written a typical 10 minutes of play to read through, so you can have a rough idea of how this plays. It all helps gently introduce players new to role-playing games, and this includes myself. The training manual goes into detail a lot further in terms of setting the game up. This manual features cartoons of the Ghostbusters and photos from the film, and I have to say the writers really got the dry humour of the film down perfect. This is actually a pretty funny read. So let's set up. First, you'll need to become a Ghostbuster. You can pick from one of the existing Ghostbusters. Hell, if you wanted to, you can play as Dana or Janine. The game also comes with blank cards for you to create your own character, which is neat. It allows you to really inject yourself into the game. But you'll need to assign your Ghostbusters traits. These are brains, muscle, move, and cool. You have 12 points to spend across these, and the higher the value, the better a character uses it. This boils down to how many dice you can throw. So for example, 3 points assigned to muscle, you roll 3 dice. Each trait has a talent. You can pick from a wide range of talents for each trait. When your scenario calls for your Ghostbuster to make use of a certain talent, you roll an additional 3 dice to how many points you assigned it. So, a muscle of 3 rolls 6 dice, which massively increases your chance of performing that skill. But only when it's called for. One of the things that Ghostbusters introduced to role-playing games that I know about is one currency for all levels of character progression. What I mean by this is, like with Dungeons & Dragons, hell, even games like Skyrim, you have magic, strength, agility, which all have their own currency like mana and potions. This game has just one, and these are called brownie points. Brownie points can be earned and lost, and they allow the user to roll more dice to execute moves, and to get themselves out of scrapes or increase their chances of winning. You can trade skill points for brownie points and vice versa, but this is up to the Ghostmaster. Ghostbusters also have personal goals. These are sex, wealth, fame, solar science, I'm guessing Egon with that one, and serving humanity. If a Ghostbuster ever achieves their personal goal, they're awarded brownie points. With my copy of this game, I also have an add-on mission, which comes with this handy-dandy Ghostmasters screen. All the information the Ghostmaster needs is printed on this side, along with a nice illustration of being in the Ecto. The Ghostmaster is going to be leading the Ghostbusters through their adventures, using the operations manual. This contains the story and setting for the game, characters the Ghostbusters will interact with, and obviously the ghosts. It's good advice to read through the story once so you know what the Ghostbusters will face. The Ghostmaster will assume the identities of these characters as the Ghostbusters quiz and question them, try to woo them, and obviously bust the ghosts. The Ghostmaster will also assign the difficulty of tasks and manoeuvres the Ghostbusters might want to execute in order to progress through the story. Certain tasks will be easier than others and will have a roll to execute value, all assigned by the Ghostmaster, and they can reward and penalise Ghostbusters for not having the correct equipment, being unready, not being aware of the scenario, etc. The more descriptive you can be, the better the game is. So, a game works like this. Get your Ghostbuster, assign traits, talents and personal goals. The Ghostmaster sets up the story, being as descriptive and entertaining as possible to get the players involved and motivated.
Right, okay, who have we got here? What the hell is that?
What? It's the only suit I had. It's got the Ghostbusters logo on the arm.
Fine. It's got the No Ghost logo on it. I guess it's a uniform. Right, okay.
Hey, Pete Figman. Egon Spangler.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Ready. When the EPA inspector released the ghosts from the containment grid, the resulting destruction was spectacular. Fixing up Ghostbusters headquarters afterwards took most of your operating capital. You're flat broke and pretty darn sick of cheeseburgers for dinner. Early one afternoon, the phone rings. Come on, pick up the phone!
Where's the Venkman, you want to get the phone?
Oh, okay. Hello, Ghostbusters. If you've seen a ghost and you've crapped your pants, call Venkman, Spengler, Zedmore and Stantz. How can we help?
A woman speaks. This is Lieutenant Kromsky, Manhattan South Precinct.
Well, wait a second. Where are you?
We have a problem at 30th and Lex. You people got a contract with the NYPD. I expect you there in 10 minutes. I responded to a code 17 on 30th and Lex. Upon my arrival, I noted one Caucasian male, medium height, build, black beard, wearing robes and sandals, climbing a lamppost. One yellow-clad 84 Plymouth medallion, license K9V4N2, drove erratically around said post.
Unusual.
You know, you guys haven't been in the press recently, and that's for very good reason. You guys is lazy. You don't do anything.
Listen, lady, we got stiffed on the bill for that little Stay Puft thing. We're kind of hard on capital right now, so if you could cut us a break.
Look, you guys, you know the location, you know where you need to go. Come on down here. I can't hang around all day.
All right.
After which, each Ghostbuster gets to choose 3 pieces of equipment to put into the Ecto and head to the scene.
Okay, you two, have you picked equipment for the Ecto?
Okay, I'm picking the ghost trap, the parachute, and the Ecto visors.
Okay.
Well, I've decided I'm going to take a proton pack, a Geiger counter, and the Spades catalog.
Good. Who's driving?
Egon, you've got this one. You can drive.
Fine, Venkman. You did get the phone, so I suppose it's my turn to drive.
You weave through the snail traffic to your destination. Soon, you see the problem. No traffic is moving on 30th and Lexington. All the cars are stopped except for a single yellow cab which is behaving very strangely. The cab drives around and around the lamppost on the southeast corner of the street, occasionally rushing into the middle of the intersection.
Unusual.
Strange noises are coming from its engine. Seeing as how there is no driver in the car, even usually fearless New York cabbies are reluctant to cross the intersection. Traffic is backed up for blocks. Supernatural gridlock. As you approach, you realise the noises a cab are making sound like growling.
Very unusual.
Suddenly, the hood flies open, the cab barks at you, and the hood flies shut.
Curious.
You decide not to go any closer and park the Ecto 1. Clinging to the lamppost about 15 feet from the ground is a strange-looking man in a dirty black robe and sandals with a large bushy beard. He closes his eyes and shudders when the cab barks. Standing nearby is a lady cop and a cigar-chomping man wearing a Brooklyn Dodgers cap. The cop stalks over and starts to ask you questions. It's about time you got here.
Officer, we came as quickly as we could. The traffic is back down Lexington all the way to 42nd Street.
If they don't have a bit of equipment that they need, it's kind of tough luck. Though, the Ghostmaster may roll with the punches to get the game moving along.
Okay, first things first, I'm going to use the PKE meter to figure out what the classification of ghost is so we know how easy or difficult this is to bust. Okay, so you're using the PKE meter to scan the ghost and figure out what classification it is. How are you going to do that?
The PKE meter?
No, you brought a parachute, ghost trap and ecto goggles.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Can I go back to the firehouse? Ooh, well, you didn't drive here, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make leniencies.
Ghostbusters, a role-playing game, comes with a number of scenarios to play, but it comes with a ton of suggestions and scenarios for creating your own adventures, and characters that you might want to introduce into existing stories. They really went all out to make this game as fun as possible by keeping the rules and mechanics as simple as possible in order to keep the game accessible to new players, and it really is. The game is obviously better with people who throw themselves into their character and into the humour of the game, and it can be hilarious when everyone is riffing off each other. The ideas for further campaigns add to the longevity of this game. You could always bring pieces from other Ghostbusters games to help you figure out your position in the maps too, just to give everyone a sense of space and placement. I'm kinda stunned how much packs into this pretty small box. Copies of this game are not easy to come across and are staggeringly expensive when they do show, but if you like Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing games, you can't go far wrong with this. It's a fun experience.
Final thoughts, I'll freely admit that I'm not the biggest RPG gamer at all. I don't play Dungeons & Dragons, but I kind of really appreciate what the Ghostbusters role-playing game brings to the table. Me, myself, I'm more of a board game player, but I've actually had fun playing this game, and what I really do like about it is the Ghostbusters work as a team. You're working towards the same objective. Most of the games I'm looking at this week, it's one player wins everything, and that's not the spirit of Ghostbusters. Working as a team and making jokes as you go along is, and this game's surprisingly funny. If you're playing with the right people, and if you're playing with Ghostbusters fans, you're always going to be with people who are riffing and quoting lines. It gets to be quite fun when you're dealing with really silly situations like a ghost stuck up a lamppost. It's just that sort of daft humour. Yeah, it's surprisingly light to play. It's pretty quick to set up and explain to new players. I'm a new player to this, and I got into it within 10-15 minutes. It's a fairly good game, yeah, definitely recommend it. Well, stay tuned all this week. I'm going to be looking at more of my Ghostbusters games. As always, I'm Luke. Thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.